Welcome to the spot. It's time to ignite. Oh yeah. Operation Hangout. The feeling's just right. Chilling with the crew. We're ready to groove. Opinions flying high. Come on, let's move. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Pull up a chair, let's get in the zone. Voices blending smooth like a funky trombone. Oh yeah. Topics from the heart, making us think. With a twist and a shout, raise up your drink. Cheers! Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Bring it down, shake it up, feel the beat. With every word we share, the circle's complete. Living loud, think it proud, that's what we do. Oh yeah. Join the club, come on through, we're waiting for you. Alright. Hang out, all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Hang out.
What is going on, everybody? We're back at it with a special edition of the Operation Hangout. I am your host, the Spartan. You're at Spartan Institute Network, the show of shows, the best thing you can be on a Friday night. This is going to be an interesting conversation. Usually, the Hangout is more a fun topic, but today we're going to do a little twist. We're going to do a little more serious. So before I get into it, I got to bring my little friendly little helper. Of course, you guys know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about my buddy, Little Groot. No, Jesus Christ. Give it up.
Bear boy. My name is Bear Paul.
Get your camera on before I come over there and choke slam the shit out of you.
That if you can pick me up and you're
Oh, that's easy.
thank you.
That's very easy.
Remember the saying, don't fight the bear.
Simple. I'll just throw some honey on you. You expect that one, did you?
Really? Oh, well, I got a joke for you later on. Don't worry.
Yeah. So, David, how you doing today, my man? You good?
I'm good. I was looking forward for this show because I've been following the news and sheesh. When I tell you it's that bad, it is really, really that bad.
Bad. That's an understatement. This is the worst case scenario in a wrestling history.
It's not just that. My favorite podcast on YouTube, Wrestle Talk, was talking about it. They're talking about it on ESPN. I was like, everyone was talking about it. MTR was talking about it, which I did pop up on the calling a few days ago. Every other person, night talked. Everybody who into wrestling or MMA and any kind of thing was speaking about it, how really, really bad the thing. And MTR did like three three, no, no, it was it was three video, one live, I believe. The one that live I called in and I broke it down because from a martial art standpoint, how bad it is, and not understanding the different realm between martial art and wrestling. There's a different practice to the thing. And plus, I did mention that this was going to happen to the promotion, which it ended up happening afterward when WWE removed the WWE ID program off.
It almost happened instantly before I can't remember what day it happened. I think it was a Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. That whole incident went down. So literally, they dropped them the next day because that's negative publicity. You don't need the negative publicity on a company. And now we have a new captain on the ship. Paul Levesque, aka Triple H. He definitely doesn't need. And the new, the
And I mentioned this
KO.
also to MTR. Shout out to MTR. Rikishi name was also on that promotion, on
He
that
owns the
wrestling lot.
promotion. If I'm not mistaken.
Us?
He owns it. If I'm not mistaken.
Because of that, that kind of like stained his name. It's like, how you do that? And Rikishi family is heavy.
It's the biggest family
On
in wrestling.
like, like, dude, what were you thinking? And not only one of the biggest, it was the biggest family, wrestling family in the business. They have multiple wrestling schools in different areas, hold by multiple different family members. Rikishi had his own. His uncle, right? Roman Reigns' father had their own. That many of the wrestlers came to. They would open up their business in their school to help others who are in need. But you do that thing right there and there. You don't think everybody have a spotlight on you, and everybody who's involved with it who did not. Let me put it like this. Everyone named in that situation who did not jump in and stop it as soon as possible, who just stood by and let it happen, they screwed.
So it's a combination of stuff here because more stuff has come out. So the part that really aggravated me the most, if you watch the whole video from the can crushing to the point he's in the backstage, they're trying to calm him down, like yo, relax. Another wrestler, and if you don't know wrestling talk like we do, we might not be in the business, but we know talk at least. Can we agree on that, David?
Yeah. Let's say we were supposed to hold a podcast here on a regular basis, but without the team involved, their schedule was not consistent enough to hold out wrestling
Hang on.
conversation.
Before you get into that, hang on. Hear me out, right? You know the lingua of wrestling, right? So you know where it means show color, get your receipt, all right? When
Mhm.
another wrestler was telling him, the young man, get your receipt. He took it for legit, like, okay, I'm gonna beat the shit out of him. Yeah, you know what? Yo, what? And like rip your shirt up, all that shit. When he jumped in the ring, like when another wrestler said it, Maven and another one said it. They should have called it off right there on this incident. After that happened, they should have called off the whole thing and says, you know what? Maybe we should lose another time. It's too much heat between these guys. Real fucking heat. This is not gonna.
And I'm glad Maven saying that. Maven, he came through tough enough. He understand that. But you also understand there are locker room leaders whereby they were supposed to pop in immediately that thing went south. The fact that a lot of them did nothing, including the referee, and you had one wrestler in particular who had his match earlier, who was tired, had to throw himself in to stop it. Hey, Craig, look at how you doing. So that's where the problem comes to play. Because there's a great divide among the wrestlers in that promotion right now.
Mhm.
The one who will risk themselves to stop that thing from happening, they're like, wait a minute, how you have one, two, three, four, five, six plus people in and out of ring, stand by and did nothing. I had to jump through.
Here's one thing about Maven before we move on to that. Right, I'm going to that next topic in a minute.
Okay.
Maven did a live after he published his video. He got a lot of backlash for some reason, and I personally I don't see why he got backlash.
For what?
He just said he was the way he came out of the video was like he spoke out of terms. He wasn't professional. He was people say he was favoring. No, he didn't never said that. If you go back and watch the video, me again, I'm speaking about me. Spartan is speaking about Spartan. So, at me as a fan and as a creative contact person, I don't think he said anything wrong, but he
Here's the
got a lot of
problem.
backlash.
He-
Before we move on, I want to respond to this one comment. What happened to my hair? I got bored. Very simple. So you guys know I'm a professional chef, and when chefs get bored, this is the outcome. Next comment? What happened to my beard? I had a very important interview, a very important meeting at work. And the VP of my company, he just hates beards. I would never tell everybody to shave beard off, but this is such an important meeting. I had to take the extra step. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. I'm not a fan of shaving beards, and I kind of want to change it up a little bit too. Again, I got bored, like I said. Back to the topic, like I said. So he got backlash, dude. If you go back, watch the video. I think I can post it. I'm gonna actually put it in the chats. He got a lot.
you might have to do that. But here's the thing about Maven. If anyone don't know Maven career, he was in WWE tough enough. He was the one who epically, it was an epic moment that threw the Undertaker over the rope during a Royal Rumble incident, and that scared the hell out of him. So he knew what it was, but he also understand the business of wrestling, the terminology of wrestling. If Maven trying to school people to understand he trying to let you know if you want to make it to the major league, which is considered to be WWE, you need to understand how to conduct yourself in the business. Anyone who have worked in WWE long enough understand
Mhm.
there's a
Correct.
protocol, there's a code of ethic, and that code of ethic have gone through multiple revisions based
I
on
totally agree.
leadership.
I'm not pushing back. So, a question for our president, aka Paul Bennett: how is this guy not arrested? Good question.
No,
There,
they mentioned that the LAPD said they mentioned they're investigating the case right now.
yeah.
Woman had he would be arrested, but no one knew what happened.
So WrestleMania said last day in one of their videos, they're looking pursuing charges at this moment. One thing I can report is that Syko is out of hospital. He's functioning good, and thank God to that. But they also reported he's also I'm not sure if this is facts or rumors, so take it with a grain of salt. They're saying he might be looking at possibility of a lawsuit against him, and he should because damages alone. I'm not a fan of go suing people, but come on, dude, you gotta be responsible for your own responsibilities. It's one thing to tell them, yo, you're a piece of shit, you're a fucker or whatever. All right, it's one way to say words. Words can bounce off you very easily. We all know that. But when you put hands on somebody, that's the whole different game. And I'm talking not as a content creator. I am not talking as a human being. I am talking as a martial artist. And that's the difference. One of the comments is something a woman uses in the bed. Jokes about my hair. Jokes. And Bennett says, and give Rampage the father of the year himself. So here's the thing with him, his father. You can take it both ways. So the thing you want to take with him was he said it. His son is in the wrong. He's not denying that one bit. But he is a father end of the day. So he's gonna protect his father the best he can. His son. What do you say about that, David? Because you're a grandfather
I'm a father and a grandfather, yes.
and great grandfather too.
But as a person who partake in martial arts, which was Shito karate, a huge fan in wrestling. And we know Rampage Jackson's history from Pride PC before he transitioned to UFC. And UFC have been purchased under the company called TKO, which also made a purchase of WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Rampage should know right there and there that is eggshell. of a situation. You are an alumni of UFC. You would know already the conduct of any MMA fighter who transition into wrestling business, how they want to conduct themselves, one way or the other. What his son did, what do we would expect him to do? No, let's be real here. This guy's an alumni. He might be a Hall of Famer already, and you don't want to do something that could, I don't say, put hot cold on your reputation with UFC, because right there and there, you know how UFC operate when certain people step out of line in a March Jordan arena in the realm we are, and he did what he did. That is right there is baloney, but it's scary as hell. It's not a very simple, easy situation to walk on. If my son did such a thing like that, and he hit a messed up part about it. If you ever watch the MTR clips when MTR was reviewing what was going on, this guy was at the side of the ring while the show is going on, and he was live on the Kick.com broadcast, going back and forth, telling his audience what he was going to do to the guy. That was like,
Oh, I didn't know that part.
oh,
All right, time out. So Rampage has not been inducted in the UFC Hall of Fame yet.
oh, yet. And that means he don't want to jeopardize that. He might have to keep it distant, because if they want to inject him to the Hall of Fame, you might want to distance yourself from the top. I know it's shady, but your son was stupid, because when I first seen the clip of Roger, he was talking about he wanted to get out of the mud. He don't want to be under his father's shadow. The fact that came to mind, you got to be extremely stupid. Look at Mayweather. Who trained him? Mayweather Sr. Who made what he is? Mayweather Sr. Look what, talk about what you're doing. Do it on your own if you don't understand the conduct of the business. That is the dumbest thing to do. In present time, oh, I want to get under my. Okay, let me another name. Let's leave. Who done it mentioned? Mayweather out of the bit. Charlotte Flair. Who trained her?
Her father, wasn't it?
Her father. Who gave it the in and out of the business? Her father. Who outshined her father? Her.
So hang on a second. I want to back up a little bit. So I just pulled up an article from New York Times, New York Post. I'm sorry. All right, pretty good source. It says it goes UFC legend Rampage Jackson cut off contact with his son, saying he should spend a little time in jail for attacking pro wrestler. You got to give him credit when he's due to his father.
And that was the right thing to say, because what he did. Let me mention all the wrestling promotion, and people don't. In case you don't watch wrestling, like some of us do, you got WWE, the one on the top. You got AEW. You got TNA Pro Wrestling. You got Defy Wrestling that located in Washington State. You got Triple A that got bought by WWE. Ring of Honor is part of AEW. That's another show. You got New Japan Pro Wrestling. You got Wrestling
TNA?
Noah. I mentioned TNA already.
No, I did. Okay.
You got Wrestling Noah, right? And let's not forget the indies that you have within the United States as well in the UK. A lot of these wrestling promotions work within a network. The WWE ID is a new network that has been implemented, connecting to multiple wrestling schools. Perfect
Mm-hmm.
example. Reality Wrestling that's owned by Booker T. It's a wrestling school that breed new talent that may end up coming to WWE. That's now also part of the WWE ID network. Not Monarch Pro Wrestling School was under the WWE ID program until that incident. They lost connection to that network almost immediately, which means none of the wrestlers were able to go through the pathway like every other wrestling school that was given the recognition to be part of that particular network. We are able to go to the indies, but if your name pop up among the list of guys who were involved in that situation, you're not sure if the indie gonna distance themselves from you either.
So
That's
I guess
also
again,
complicated.
time out. Paul has a comment here. He's gonna answer the comment. Actually, I like this comment. I'm not sure what the relationship is, but his son seems disturbed. First, is stepping away now the right thing? Where was he before all this?
I will put this. There was a report that mentioned that there was a training session before that incident happened, and Ron Jackson had a concussion.
I heard
And
about that.
anybody who know mixed martial arts training section, it can go south quick. You can get
Any combat sport can go south. Let's not
no,
use that as excuse.
no,
Don't
no,
do
no,
that
no.
bullshit.
I get it, but there's a level to it. Remember, we have boxing. Yeah. Now, boxing is not in the same realm of martial art because in boxing you're dealing with a punch, right? In MMA or mixed martial art, it's not punches alone. Kicks are involved.
The
You can have a
throws.
miss the throw it too. You can have a mishap if you didn't block properly and a mouth will come in and it pass by your guard and hit you in places where it shouldn't be during the sparring session. It can prove a problem.
See, I don't like the excuse people are using. He was concussed. Okay, so what? I've been cussed multiple times myself from martial art tournaments. As much you say you don't know what you're doing, that's bullshit. You're like in a daze, but like almost like a drunk state.
And here's
But
the thing.
but you still know what the fuck you're doing.
I know, but here's the problem. There is a concussion protocol in place in the United States concerning sport. You and I both know the concussion
I
thing.
don't remember what it is now, to be honest with
I
you.
know it's heavy in football, which is
It's
one.
changed so much over the years. I don't know what it is anymore.
It's heavy in boxing. It's now heavy in wrestling because of some of the controversy based on how they address people who have concussion. What other protocol they had in play to prevent this from extending? Because the health industry concerning sports, they have become the watch eye on a lot of comeback sports and sport that's almost close to being comeback. So under the United States soil, if you had a concussion, you probably any of the comeback sport arena, either be boxing, either be wrestling, either be MMA, or you're in football or any hard hitting sport and you have a concussion. There's a requirement protocol you're supposed to play out, meaning you're not supposed to be in any other area whereby you're not gonna be in your right mind and it can lead you to more problems. When you have a concussion, you're supposed to sit this one out, meaning go home and rest and relax. Recuperate. Let your body get back to normal before you get in any type of heavy
I'm not disagreeing
activity.
with you one bit. If he was really concussed, and according to the what is it, American Sports Facility, what it's called, something like that, right? He shouldn't even been there. That means why the fuck is that little punk ass bitch there?
And his trainer was there too, and this is something I'm. This is why.
Hey, David,
What?
before you move on, I want to say something. All right, because something
All
has
right.
been bothering me since this whole incident. So a lot of you guys who have been following me for the last 3 years since I started the channel know one thing about me. I'm a huge supporter of the military. All right. Am I wrong, David? What I'm saying so far? So I have a lot of friends like Ingriel, who used to be part of the channel. Our further friend from Pop Culture Warrior, CQ, our friend from Sports Bar, King Smith. That's only the tip of the iceberg. Dwayne White, we had a guest on here. He's a military guy too. All veterans guys. So he attacked a veteran that he used wrestling for to overcome PTSD. You know, I got something to say to this little punk ass motherfucker. Fuck you for doing that. Fuck you. You're a punk. You're a pussy. Attacking a veteran? Are you serious? You're lucky you're breathing still. I'm surprised the armed force has not come after you yet. You're probably protected. That's the only reason. You should be swallowed, you piece of shit. Go ahead, David.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me explain why he's doing this with. A lot of wrestling promotions have been opening their doors for a lot of United States military veterans. WWE is one of them. TNA is another one.
Every promotion opened
AEW
the
does it.
doors.
We have wrestlers who are former military men in WWE, in TNA. He's the international champion in TNA. That's one of them. We have the infantry of AEW under FTP promotion, the both military individual and the both championship, the
I'll give you
trio
this, David.
championship.
I'll give you an example. All right, this
Okay.
how good a military response. I'll give you two examples actually. You have a bunch of wrestlers who say, like John Cena came out saluting. That was his respect to the soldiers. Sergeant Slaughter. That's a whole different story. If you argue if he was a Marine or not, I'm not gonna get into that debate right now.
Randy Orton is an also a military guy, Marine, but he
Marine.
went AWOL. I understand that part. He
That's
was,
that's fine. That's fine. Maybe the lifestyle wasn't for him. I understand that, but he still had respect for his time and service. He did. I
and there was
give you
other, and there
two
was other
examples.
wrestlers who came from the military who wrestled in WWE as well. They had a good long list of them.
Oh, there's a bunch of them. I'll give you a second good example how supportive of the military are. So they had a CQ and a bunch of Wounded Warriors were at an event, a big event, and they were doing the fireworks and everything, and they these guys literally dropped down to the ground, thinking they were back in Iraq, and CQ was like, "Uh oh," and that's the thing. But I do have some breaking news just happened just that's not even a second ago. It is wrestling news I'm going to talk about. There's a rumor that AG Lee might be coming back. She's back. She's literally appearing as I'm thinking. I have SmackDown on my other screen, keeping up with the wrestling news. She literally just showed her face. I am not joking. I can't show you guys, but I don't want to get copy striked. But she is back. The rumors are true. So I just want to break that news really fast. But let's get back to our original topic. Yes, they are huge supporters of the military. There are a lot of people or in backstage or ex-military, current military, whatever the case is, it doesn't matter. But my point is trying to get to is what kind of balls you have attacking a veteran, a PTSD veteran, an army veteran. You're lucky you survived that. You punk ass little fucking cunt. Yes, I said it. I don't care. I got striked. I'll take the strike tonight.
I'm not saying I don't care about the track, but I understand the visceral because you're talking about United States veterans, and a lot of veterans have find a home in wrestling to cope with Pete. I don't think people understand PTSD from a military point of view, how heavy critical that situation is, and how hard it is for a lot of people to transition from the military to civilian. Some have found wrestling as a outlet to help them cope with PTSD.
Dude, a lot of
And
them come up with like theater games is one of them.
oh,
Uh
video games another one too.
yeah. I see Q did a racquetball for a little bit. That's another one. There are a bunch of different bodybuilding. There's so many shape of ways from you outcome of PTSD. And a good friend of mine, Nemo. He's from the WFT Nation family over on that side. He found video games as a big outlet because he I don't want to put his business out, but he was struggling a lot coming out of the military. So
And shout out to, don't forget this one, Mandrell. Mandrell is like my twin brother to me.
Mandrell again, he's
For the
another
For the
military guy.
BMU network,
We
he
got
the
Ed
guy
Mandrell.
who
We got
he
Coach Frey.
he's a martial artist, but also into boxing. He got a golden glove in boxing, and he do Brazilian jiu-jitsu. He's another guy who's heavy in the MMA side of things, and a big fan of wrestling as well. So he understands it too as well. Which he can pop up for this show if he hears this show. But this is a very, very big, critical, and controversy issue. If you don't understand how the veteran United States military people operate between the Army, the Navy, the Marine, and the Air Force, and they find such out and they meet together because wrestling have been a thing all thanks to WWE because they do this thing every single year for more than a decade. And that it became an outlet for a lot of other people who was leaving the military, then they could also do wrestling them, and they found a way to cope with it. If WWE was full, there was TNA. If TNA was full, there was AEW or Ring of Honor, and there was many other promotions. Here that there, I didn't even notice. Swerve Strickland is from the military. He do well in wrestling. There are a lot of wrestlers in the wrestling industry who are from the military who are able to transition into wrestling
So I
and
pulled
play
up the
a great
list right
career.
now. The most of them, like, and this might be a little off.
We can read them
Um,
out.
okay. Lace Evans, he was a former
WWE.
Marine. Randy Orton, Marine. It says Brock Lesnar, but I'm not sure if Brock Lesnar was. Served in the United States Army and had a background in.
Bobby Lashley. Yeah, I remember
Oh,
Bobby
Bobby Lashley.
Lashley.
I'm sorry, not Bobby. I'm sorry, I missed. I just got too carried on. That was my fault. Um, Mosine Ford. I'm not familiar with him at all.
Melissa Ford. What
Yeah.
do we?
Oh, okay, okay. I know who he is now. Okay, I saw a picture. Now I know who he is.
He
He's a
Street
Marine.
Profits.
Yeah. Legend veterans. They call it Jesse Ventura, Kevin
Hmm.
Nat, Sergeant Slaughter. Sergeant Slaughter is not been proven to be military or non-military. That is a gray area, so we're not going to touch that. Let's skip that one. Road Dog, Marine. Did you know he was a Marine? To be honest with you, veteran got in. Pronounce that wrong. I know it. If I see the picture, I know who he is. Okay, I know this is an old school wrestler. We're talking about back in the 50s era.
Hmm.
He was a Marine. Yes, Marines. A lot of fucking Marines. Petty Sanders. I think that's an old school one too. No, he's a newer one. But he was from the 90s era. I know who this guy is. If you and the line was Zepp Kunling. He was the U.S. Army 25th Infantry Division, and during the Vietnam War. So there's only a type of iceberg, you know. The guy has a big mustache. You know what I'm talking about. He says, "We the people." They used to come out and salute.
Forgot his name.
Oh yeah, they did the flag. I'm sorry, they did "We the people." Let me see if I can get some more up here. I got a few more here. Current ones.
I tried to get my assistant. Harvey Ray served the military. Lou Steele served the military. Gino Garbadi Garbadi served the military. From the WWE from the World War II Korea era. Vietnam era Jetty Ventura named as James Janos.
You also have
Randy Ladd.
Freddie Blassie. He was one.
Now they say Slater served the Pope Vietnam to go for his real name is Robert Remus. Corporal Kitchener is Michael Penzo. Modern era is Randy Orton, Steve Cutler at Steve Compete, WWE, Leighton Evans, Montez Ford versus Kenneth Crawford, WWE. He part of the Street Profit. Rob Van Dam, they're not sure but trained in military program. Brian Road Dog
RTC
James,
most likely.
JBL, John Bradshaw Layfield,
He was service. I
civilian
didn't know he
support
wasn't.
of the military tour but not enlisted. Shad Gasper served briefly in the Army National Guard before pro wrestling. Thunderbolt Patterson is also there. Bobby Lashley is there. Strickland is also there. I forgot the two new names for the infantry who won the Ring of Honor Trio Championship. That's another list. There's a lot. There's a lot of wrestlers who are in the military, either be the Army, Marine, Navy, or Air Force. Bobby is more stood out because he was in the Army, but he's big. And not only he did wrestling, he did MMA. He did both and. That was the difference. That guy's well decorated. Not only he did WWE, he did MMA. So everybody want to sleep on Bobby Lashley? Good luck with that one. The Almighty Bobby Lashley will crush you, pun intended. But if you dig more and more and start find out from every promotion out there, then you start to realize there are more people who have served the military who have found another mean to cope with civilian life through wrestling. And what Roger did crossed the line on two areas. One with the wrestling part of it and the one with the United States military part of it. So when you have the Sparta showing his visceral, if he wasn't showing it, how many veterans are looking for him? The veteran community is very, very thick knitted.
They're thick, they're strong, and they're united.
And that's the problem. And if I was Rampage Jackson, you just one person against a thick community who have been existing for how many decades? Who people who risk their life to protect your freedom, and this is how you. So I understand Mr. Paul Bennett questioning, but Mr. Paul Bennett, I'm also you should know this is like been a hot plate and a rock situation. How you pick, and this is the thing I know that when I seen the video, Raja was too hard headed, too entitled. This is something I've been trying to speak about by the new generation, or the entitled generation. They get so entitled that think they deserve everything on the silver platter, but they don't want to put in the work to earn it. And the fact that your father was trying to give you pointer and you were being hard at, dude, your father before he was in UFC, you don't know what it's like to be in Pride FC. Pride FC was more difficult than UFC, and you have no idea what it's like. This is why young generation who think he know it all than those before them who have been there before them need to show homage and respect. What you're supposed to be doing is sitting down at his foot and collecting as much knowledge as possible. Because you can make some mistake like this one that could end
Mistake.
your. I say mistake being political.
This
No,
should
I'm
be an
no,
ending
I know, I know.
career.
I'm being political about it.
You're better than me right now. I'm heated.
You're not the only one because as a martial artist, I'm surprised this guy's not in a particular style.
Time out, time out, time out. Let's get something straight here with UFC versus martial artists. Please don't offend me like that because those guys, most of them don't have a black belt degree. To get a real black belt degree takes a half a lifetime. You know that, David.
I
As
know,
well as
and I
I
know
do.
that. I know that. This is why I have a favoritism to one championship over UFC.
Hang on, hang on. Back in the day, before UFC was UFC, there was a World Martial Art Tournament. And most people know it, most people don't know it. It's fine. It doesn't matter. They don't exist anymore because they went out of business. But you had to have a black belt, number one. B, you had to compete in tournaments to earn points. Like NASCAR, think of it almost. Every race you went, you went to tournaments, you second place, whatever, you move up a point, and then you get pre-qualified to go to World Martial Tournament, whatever tournament. Let's say the bodybuilding, you have other ones you won't earn points. You go to Honor Classic first, you earn some points at the pre-qualification for Miss Olympia. Same other concept, all right. There are different ones. I can't remember all the names. It's been so many years. Yes, I am that old. So to have a guy, most of these UFC fighters are thugs, street. I can't say it any better. The street thugs who can fight. Some of them can fight for real. Some of them cannot fight in the street. They can fight in the cage, but can they transform that in a real life situation?
I
No.
I had to agree with you that way because there have been this annoying talk about, man, I don't need to learn no discipline. No, let me give you a real story. It happened in high school. I have seniors who were looking down on me because I was into Shichua karate. If anyone want to know the history of Shichua karate is one of the five original karate origin based in Japan. That is number one, so you need to understand that. Two, the stuff I was being trained under my senpai and my sensei, we were taking a code, we took an oath not to use it outside the dojo or use it to oppress or how you want to say bully anybody. So I have two seniors who tried that with me, and I have both of them on their behind the worst way possible. Now I could have abused it and got myself kicked out because if you don't notice this by now, there's a reason why they have martial art training in the military. In real martial art, we were trained to actually be a weapon, hands down. The exercise routine, the training, the body conditioning, the stuff that we had to put ourselves through. It's ridiculous. It can be highly barbaric, and it leaves with long-lasting pain or severe side effects that stick with you the rest of your life, depending on what you were put to do. And trust me when I say that we were trained to know how to pull our punch. When there's no restraint, you ask anybody who was on any part of discipline in the real martial art, they will tell you under United States law, we're not allowed to get in any type of situation that could lead us maybe to a 10 or 15-year prison sentence. But we're
It really
literally a
depends on the
weapon.
judge, and there's a lot of things that they leaned off on him over the years.
I heard about that, but still, I'm not gonna take that risk. I'm not
Yeah,
taking that risk.
I know it was a rumor for years and years and years and years that martial arts had to carry this card called your licensed martial art. That was a myth. That was never a
I know
real
that that was a myth, but at the same time, I was told the same thing. But I said I wasn't gonna do it because I want to keep myself under low radar. Because first
If
and
you
foremost,
remember the movie called Never Back Down
oh yeah,
with the UFC thing,
Michael J. Wright was in that movie a couple of times.
was he in it? I can't remember.
He the same guy who did the Spawn movie. He was in the Never Back Down movie. Yeah. He that big dude who originally from Brooklyn. One of my managers used to train under him when I was working at Centennial Bank.
All right, let's get
He's
this
a
guy
real
in here. Give me a second. Let me get Paul in here really fast. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our president. Paul, what's going on, my man? How are you tonight?
yeah, we hear the
Just give
sound
me 1
effect.
second. You might have hear an echo. Just give me a second.
Yeah, take your time.
You hear the
So
sound effect.
I want to bring this movie up for a reason. If you remember the scene in the movie, he gets in a street fight. He was being a punk. He thought his skill wasn't good. He kicked some guy's butt. And they caught it on video. He gets back to him and kicked him out of school. He literally kissed his teacher's ass to get him back in. And they told him, listen, you fight again, that's it. And the day he was going to fight, listen, if you come back, if you fight this fight, I may not let you back in again. I'm sorry, Paul. Go ahead.
Now, what's going on?
No, we're going over the whole incident with Syko Stu.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually a little heated. You know how I feel about the military people. So, yeah, I'll put it this way. We got on this, bro. I know you had a couple comments in.
Well, it's a very upsetting situation. First and foremost, I mean, the law should come in. He definitely needs to be arrested and in charge. Now, what you do with him based on his mental state, because I saw that the most disturbing thing was what I saw him saying after it was over. He was definitely in a very turned up type of state, not well. And then you started hearing about the fact that he may have concussion issues. I was just watching prior to getting on, his mom, who I understand was murdered a few years ago. And his relationship with Rampage Jackson was never that great, and it got even worse even afterwards. And Rampage is, like I said, he's not going to win Father of the Year because I don't know how active he was in his kids' lives or whatnot growing up. And certainly when that stuff went down, he admitted himself on X that he didn't know what to necessarily do in that particular situation. He said, I'm not a psychiatrist. He said he didn't know what to do. So, I mean, this guy had a lot of issues going into that situation that he never should have got put in. But again, he did what he did. So I'm not saying that, definitely arrest. But what you want to do if you want to put him in a psychiatric institution or something. But, certainly he needs to pay for what he did. That was one of the most disgusting things I've seen in a while. But this is a guy who's dangerous to the public. But if you bring his upbringing and everything into play, those are circumstances I think that need to be considered. So you talk about Rampage Jackson and whatnot. Like I said, I've never been a big fan of his, but what kind of father he is or whatnot, or now the fact that he's saying, oh, well, I think he needs to be arrested. What is that to say in that particular situation? Well, again, where were you or up to that point? You already admitted that after his mom died, you weren't necessarily the greatest father in the world, didn't know necessarily the deal with the situation. Obviously, you weren't with the mom necessarily at the time either. So, but that happens with a lot of these athletes. They go out and they father's kids that they're not ready to be fathers for. And then when they find their kids in trouble, then it's like at this point in time, now you want to sort of break away from the situation. So I, again, I don't know, how to deal with that. Initially, his initial thoughts was just like, look, that's still my son. I'm going to support him and whatnot. And then 2 days later, he's saying, oh, well, he needs to go to jail for a while to consider what he did. I mean, that's not fathering to me. That's not good parenting on either side of the, on either way you look at it. So, so I'm not saying that justice doesn't need to be done, and justice will be meted out in some ways. But I think just everything that led up to this is to me, it's somewhat tragic that you have we talk about mental health in this country and guys spinning out of control, and someone's going to say, well, yeah, well, I've grew up tough too, and I've never did anything like that or whatever. Well, look, you never put in that position. So, so that's kind of my thoughts on it. It's just bad situation. But yeah, he needs to be, he needs to be dealt with, whether it be by the state or, some take the psychiatric route or take the prison route. I don't see how prison's going to help him out. So again, he definitely needs some attention, and it seems like he's a guy who's been looking for some sort of attention that he didn't get. And like I said, the biggest thing was afterwards or whatnot, he was like, just talking to himself basically. They keep turning to him, I'm gonna turn up. Like he was just like in a different space. And
mindset. So here's my little issue with that right now is now all of a sudden after the incident, the concussion came out. Bro, you don't need to cry. I'm right here, man. You don't need to cry. I'm right here, bro. I'm on your side. I got you, bro. I'm like, you need a hug? Want me to give you a hug? But joking aside, I hate when people start using mental issues and concussion after the incident. Like Maven and some other wrestlers who have podcasts said it. If he's concussed, why did he go out? And after the whole Ken incident, why did you still go through the scene, the skit, or whatever you want to call it? They sure pulled it. Yes, he's I'm not sure how old the guy is, to be honest with you. 25. So he just became a man, literally. His testicle just dropped finally. So because I don't think you're a full adult till you're 25, because your mature level is still pretty young under that age. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, but the only pushback I would have on you, I mean, who's going around talking about, oh yeah, I got concussed? I mean, nobody goes around admitting or walking around talking about what their health history is, especially if they're concussed. So again, I mean, that's something that. But again, if you can go back and cite it that he's been diagnosed with concussions or had it, then what difference does it make if it comes out now or later? He either had it or he didn't. If he was diagnosed,
the only issue with that I have, if they still have to get cleared by a professional medical before they do anything in the ring.
Not in these indie promotions. Are you kidding? They're not. This isn't WWE. This isn't even AEW or Ring of Honor.
I'm not sure about that. I'm not going to push back.
In these indie promotions, they're always looking for an angle or whatnot. And let's face it, more times than not, in that kind of setting, he's probably the most popular guy there. Because unless you're a real fan or follower of that indie promotion, the son of Rampage Jackson is going to be something you can probably put on your marquee and probably sell something more than the guys on your roster.
But
in
I
these
was
indie promotions.
I would say that as of lately, those indie promotions slash wrestling schools that have applied to be under the WWE ID program, oh, they have to follow the protocol. It's no if no but because they want to avoid such issue that happened before with WWE slash WWF with all these legal matter because there's some indie ones they like to cut corners. Yeah, they're not under that program. But if you want to get recognition in that level whereby you want to be part of any other wrestling big wrestling promotion, you have to follow the law. If you don't, each company can say, I had nothing to do with that company. We told them ahead of time, you gotta follow this regulation because we under that same regulation, they chose to do as well. So we cut our time. The minute that thing happened, they removed WWE program from Western Knock Pro. Immediately. They're like, no, no, no. We want nothing to do with it.
But we know that for sure that this promotion was part of WWE's.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. We know that for a
Mhm.
fact. It was
There's a
on
thing, there's a
WWE's.
thing called WWE ID. And there's a lot of wrestling school and wrestling indie promotion across the country that are part of that particular umbrella, which will make it easier for up and coming wrestlers to come into the program.
Mhm.
And to hopefully go to the next thing will be NXT before they go to the main roster. That is the pathway for that.
Mhm.
I mentioned Booker T Wrestling School, Reality Wrestling. It's part of that program.
Yeah, yeah.
Not Pro
I
is
can certainly see if you got former guys on the roster who certainly want to be a part of that or want to be a pipeline to
and
it.
Not Pro
My,
Wrestling is under Rikishi name.
right.
Look what I pointed out earlier again on top of that. So
The
that's
only
kind of like
question I have is I don't have all the details on it. So again, when he had that incident with the guy leading up to it with the soda can and all that kind of stuff, it was already in play that he was going to make a beat for the ring, or was this something that was kind of spur of the moment? Was this
So,
all?
from my understanding, he was supposed to jump in the ring and have throw him around a little bit. Nothing crazy. But after the can incident, the other wrestler also kind of add more fuel to the fire. No
Mhm,
fun intended. He
mhm.
said to him, "Get your receipt. Get your receipt. Get your receipt." So he got him even more wild up. He was already pissed off. And at first, I think they squashed it because you see at the point of the video, there's Syko Sue realized, okay, he's not selling. He goes, "Why are you not selling, dude? Come on, like we're trying to sell here." And he realized, like, no, that's not cool. And he's stiffing up, like, and then Syko Sue realized, okay, I went too far with my skit. So he went, he put his hand out. I apologize. He was the better man. He realized, okay, I screwed up. I'm sorry. And then a few minutes later, they were shaking hands. They were cool. Then the other wrestler goes, "Get your receipt. Get your receipt. Get your receipt." Okay, you're egging him up, egging him up, egging him up, egging him up. And right before that, he was heated. And if
Mhm.
he was like, he's heated, now if he's a cuss, like you guys said, and if he has mental issues, now you're adding not fuel, not not gasoline, not diesel. You're adding fucking dynamite to that situation.
Right, I got it. But this sounds like it was still a runoff. I'm sorry, a one-off.
Yeah, it
Right.
was supposed to originally, yes.
Yeah, but so I can definitely see. So if you're gonna tell me that even with this certification program that WWE has and that this program is apparently under, that it's going to apply to this situation that was probably thrown together. So the guy's not part of the roster.
Mhm.
He's not part of the promotion. It's a one-off, and basically, they're gonna invest on him getting a concussion protocol before they let him in the ring. I don't think so. I think there was some corners cut. I think the fact that this is Rampage Jackson's son, I think this will be real cool. If we can get him a part of the action, it'll get some heat and it'll get some notoriety
They went on top.
on it. I don't think that they went through all of that. Now, if he was going to be an active wrestler on the roster, then I can see them saying, okay, because again, those tests, I mean, that costs money. Who's going to pay for that? I mean, these promotions don't barely have enough money or can barely draw an audience. Where's the money coming from to even get these concussion protocol tests that they're talking about? If it's not going to come from WWE's not feeding them. And so you're going to take a guy from a one-off and you're going to go through all that for a one-time event? To me, the numbers just don't add up there. I think it was just a one-off that went bad with the worst guy you possibly could have had in that particular situation and all the events leading up to that situation that led to him just going off once he landed that first punch or whatever, and then all bets were out the window after that.
One punch.
You know, I'm just saying after the first one, I'm just saying he just started landing more and more punches. I'm just saying it was a perfect storm where you took a guy who was already not in the best place, possibly for his life, dealing with trauma he probably didn't deal with, having his mom murdered, not on the greatest terms with his father, and then you're gonna egg him on before the event or whatnot, and then you're gonna egg him on and say, okay, get your receipt in the ring. Again, wrong guy to do that with. But who's going to go into that background and take all of that into consideration? But you say, I think this would be a good guy to get into the ring.
I didn't know about that part. That his mom got murdered. I did not know about that part.
Yeah, Rampage. I was, like I said, when I came on, I was just it was just on X. Rampage was on X talking about that his relationship with his son has not been the same. That his son has actually been distanced from him since his mom got murdered. And I don't know how many kids that Rampage Jackson has, whatever, but just has the feelings that this is not necessarily the closest of relationships. I don't know if the guy was with the mom were they together, were they married at the time? Nobody, but he basically said after that he didn't know what to do, and he tried to try to cheer him up, but he didn't know how to get him, I guess, the attention or the professional advice that he needed at that particular time. Mm-hmm. And if you're gonna add concussions on top of that and all those things, it's like a powder keg that blew up. And again, I am not saying that he does not need to be tried and he does not need to pay for what he did. My only question is he going to pay for it in, again, getting in a mental institution to get the help that he needs, or are you going to put him in prison, which I don't see I don't see how anybody is better for that coming out. So I think there's a lot of extenuating circumstances that I hope they consider when this thing is brought in, if he is arrested and brought in, and what they decide to do with this thing. And also a lot of this is also going to depend on what the guy who was assaulted, whether or not does he want to file charges or not. Or is he going to come to the guy's defense and say, hey, just give him the situation, let's just drop it and move on. Then what are the prosecutors going to say then? And if this guy says, okay.
Thing they reported about Syko when he came out of the hospital yesterday, that I'm not sure. Again, I'm not sure if this is a rumor or proven facts. He was talking. The WrestleMania said about possibility of a lawsuit coming in effect.
Mm-hmm. I don't see how. From who?
Syko for damages.
No, I get that, but I'm saying, but who's going to sue? Now again, because then he doesn't have any money. And again, the fact that Rampage hasn't been necessarily associated for a while, he's not going to sue Rampage. The only thing he possibly go after is if he wants to go after the promotion to say, look, if this guy should have been screened for concussion and all that kind of stuff ahead of time, and you guys didn't do it, then will he try to sue TKO or whatever the promotion owes WWE? I don't know, but again, this guy clearly, what money does he have? He doesn't have any money. So where's your lawsuit going to go? So again, like I said, I think this was a one-off that went bad with the wrong guy to do it with.
Mm-hmm.
And if WWE wants to kind of go in and say, or TKO and say, you guys, this guy should have been screened. You guys didn't do that. You guys are out of the league, and that'll even give them further distance in case if a lawsuit does come. They can say plausible deniability and say, look, they violated our policy. They didn't follow through and do what they were supposed to do. We wash our hands of this group or whatever, and we out. And what's that promotion going to do? Most indie promotions don't make a lot of money.
If they make it.
Yeah. So again, I don't see where this can go, but I mean, certainly lessons learned. Yeah, you don't want to lose cannon, and wrestling used to be like that. Guys used to be screaming, oh, you want to be in the wrestling business? They would shoot on you before you got in just to make sure that you were the type of guy who wanted to do this. You used to have shooters who would basically, Hulk Hogan, man, the first time he went to try for wrestling, Hiro Matsuda broke his leg. That used to be how it was back in the day. You had to be serious about wanting to be involved. But then when McMahon came out, and then you had WrestleMania, he brought in Mr. T, and he brought in Lawrence Taylor and all these football players and all these different people, who didn't have the background. That certainly ticked a lot of guys off, because it's like, look, why is these guys getting shine? We've been busting our butt for years trying to get a shot. You just want to bring in these celebrities and whatnot and put them in the ring and make them
Here's a
famous.
good example
That rubbed a
that
lot
we're
of old
seeing.
school guys the wrong way.
Here's a good example. You have a Ken Swan, UC legend.
Shamrock.
Thank you. He was in there for a while. Scrapping with the guys too.
Mhm.
Not literally fighting, but the wrestling way. Then you have Mike Tyson was in there. I can't remember who he was.
He didn't wrestle though. He refereed that match between Stone Cold and
No, I never say he wrestled, but it was a one-off. That's what my point is trying to get to.
right. But again, it was I mean that was,
But
and he didn't even
Tyson,
get
for
chance. Yeah.
example.
Was that
Tyson's a hot cannon. He would knock you out just looking at him in the wrong way back then.
right?
And he still is the same way in a way.
Right.
And they were able to control him. What do you say about that?
Again, it's a loose cannon. I mean, that first thing. I mean, you talking about when he refereed the match between Triple H and Shawn Michaels. I forget what WrestleMania that was, or SummerSlam, or whatever the event was. But basically, it was a shove, and then it was, I guess, in the ring. After it was over and everything. Again, it wasn't like, it was clearly staged. I mean, I don't think he even gave Shawn Michaels a receipt. It was just Shawn Michaels sold the punch, and that was it. I think Tyson really didn't do anything, certainly at the level where the guy was saying, okay, take your receipt means land a real one. I don't think Tyson landed a real one on Shawn Michaels because it wasn't intended to, but it was just the aura of Mike Tyson, and he just took advantage of that. To me, that's not the same thing either.
I feel if Tyson actually connected a punch with Michaels would be seeing stars.
Oh yeah, but again, he never did. I mean, go back and look at it. I mean, he lands a punch, but he sells the heck out of it. So it wasn't a real receipt. There was no real receipts needed, because actually it was Stone Cold who actually shoved Mike Tyson in the the lead up to it and whatnot. And then they sold it like, okay, Tyson was part of Degeneration X, and then I guess the way he called the match, and then he kind of turns back to, I guess, being not pro Stone Cold but anti Generation X and that whole thing. So again, it was much more staged, much more controlled. And again, you had all the parties involved. So again, I mean, McMahon, you got handlers, you got bookers, you got all these people going to make sure that this stuff goes right. You're going to have run-throughs. That stuff runs right. But in this, what an indie promotion, you're expecting all of this stuff that at the highest levels of wrestling to have at these indie shows. And most of the time, these guys, again, they're barely scraping by. Look at the audiences that come to this. A lot of these shows got less than 50 people in them. How many people were at this event?
I'm not sure. David, you know?
If you had a couple hundred at that event, that is generous. Most of these indie promotions don't get that many people.
If you were to do a visual count on the video alone, it'll be under 120, 130.
Yeah, I mean, so
And
they charge
mind
20.
you, it was a wrestling school under a Rikishi name.
Mm-hmm.
So that is where the problem comes to play. Now, logistically speaking, I don't know if Rikishi diverts himself from a wrestling school altogether, because he's part of a very big family. And you put a stain on his name. And if he had to lose money,
Yeah. And how much is Rikishi even involved? I mean, a lot of these guys lend their name to stuff and they're not even involved. Is he actually in there really training guys, or is he just the nameplate?
how you want to put it? It's just like Booker T. Booker T have a wrestling school, but
Right.
he have people that work for him.
Right. So it's not like he's necessarily it's not like he's actually involved. Booker T isn't training these guys on a regular. He's not a trainer like that.
He owned a wrestling school, but he used to
Owns
train.
it.
But he owned a wrestling school. He used to train. He had people he hired to do the work for him while he on the
and
top.
he even had a promotion, because I remember I used to watch some of his stuff, and that there's this one. I had this one app. It was like it had all the combat sports, and it had all the indie promotions on it. So you had Ring of Honor, you had Booker T, you had all these guys. I mean, it just amazed me that how some of these venues, I mean, they were doing events in barns. They were doing events in
I remember that. Yeah.
in high school, not even high school gyms. I mean, it was just like rooms, like literally like office space. Like some office space rooms. I mean, not a lot of not a lot of sizzle at all when it comes to what these indie promotions do. There's not a lot of money there. That's why I say if you want to do that on the regular, watch any of those documentaries on YouTube about guys trying to make their way up through the indies and whatnot. It's not, it's definitely it's not to make money. But you got to, that's what a lot of old guys say, you got to pay your dues and work your way up. And a lot of guys over the years, even with when Tough Enough came out, that a lot of people didn't like that because they felt it was a shortcut for guys who didn't pay their dues in the indies to get a break in the WWE. So again, this like I said, it just went wrong all the way around, and so hopefully that guy, certainly he recovers as much as he can recover. Who is he going to sue? I don't know, because that if it even touches or sniffs WWE, they're going to just divest themselves of it and say, look, they're not a part of us, cut the relationship or sever the tie, and they're going to
might be associate, but they're not responsible. They
but
just
from a lawsuit, that's not, well, that's, we can say that, but again, that's for a lawyer to prove. So that's why you get a lawyer to say, hey, wait a minute, if they were responsible for this, and this, if you can prove that there were certain protocols that should have been followed that wasn't, or prior cases where stuff wasn't followed, but WWE looked the other way, but that's for a lawyer to prove in court and to get a jury or to agree that there's some culpability there. And with any lawsuit, you're always going to go after the biggest fish, because again, you can look at him. I can look at Rampage. I doubt it doesn't have it. I don't even know if he's a millionaire, quite frankly. But why would you go after him? I mean, especially when a guy basically said, look, I'm basically washing my hands of my son. So it's not like he put him up to it. So again, I think a lawsuit would be specious. But again, that's a dangerous endeavor to be in anyway. Most of those guys on the indie circus, you talking about, even the pros don't get health insurance who work for WWE. Now, I don't know how it is at AEW or some of these other bigger promotions, but nobody, everyone's an independent contractor. So you don't even get health insurance.
So I just looked up Rampage's network. He's at $12 million of this year.
Okay. Good for him. But I can't see how you're going to go after Rampage. What, for being a bad father? For being a bad father. So you're going to hold the 25-year-old son responsible and then demonstrate that, yeah, my father was a bad dad and he neglected me and whatnot, and this led to this.
But
now again, a lawyer would be crazy enough to do that.
But here's another thing. There's a clip on the video whereby he was telling his father he want to get his own career out of the mud. He want to follow his footsteps, because I remember Rampage did challenge him, and Rampage is actually full, so he just want to see how much do he know to understand. But the way I'm looking at it, the Spartan said, Peter said, he had been distancing himself for a while. He went to do things on his own. So it's almost like, this is what I was calling, this is the biggest mistake he made. You enter a sport you have no clue about.
And this is a problem.
Your father had been there longer than you before you became a seed. And they don't want to be under his tutelage. At least he give you the heads up and line up with people who understand the business better. You chose not to. And you went to the wrestling promotion. It's a wrestling school. But we all know that a lot of MMA fighters showed up to help promote a school or business or promotion, hoping it will bring some kind of star effect to it. But we're not supposed to cross the line, and you crossed the line right there. So what more is to be said? And on top of that, the director school is under a kitchen name, even though he wasn't there, but he still have only, with the better look at it, legal ramification. Who owned the school? Well, under the WWE ID program before they got disconnected.
I think, again, I'm not a lawyer. Here's a couple of comments here. If he has to go off anybody, he can go only off the school, the owner of the school, or the Rampage son. Okay, whatever his name is. Second, I said it earlier, and I'll say it again. The problem with UFC, all these guys are street fighters. They're not real martial artists with discipline.
And
So,
we have that. We have that.
disagree?
If you
Go
want to
ahead.
say that, look, I think most martial artists can't fight.
Oh, don't you even go there with me
So
again.
I'm just saying most martial artists can't fight.
Yeah, they can. I'll
No,
prove
they
that any day
cannot.
wrong.
No, they cannot. You
I'll
get
take
certified
it.
in forms, and I'm not saying, look, don't take it personal. I'm not saying you or David, because it's from what you guys have described, you guys were in some pretty competitive schools that actually taught the art of fighting. But a lot of guys, you can go to a lot of these schools and get your taekwondo belt or whatever and not know anything about fighting.
Okay, so here's a misunderstanding with katas, forms in your eyes. All right, forms are actually techniques you learn to use into sporting. So people don't realize, like, it might be look like fancy moves to of in the naked eye. And I even asked my instructor, Master Ray, like, why do I need to learn this kata? I don't want to learn it more kata. I just want to learn. I just want to spar. That's all I wanted to do. He goes, okay, fair enough. He goes, and he claimed to me, do me even fair. Let's do there's no, Form 1 white belt. I'm like, why? Just do it for me. He comes down with a punch, and I just I went into a block into a punch. That's the first two moves in there. It goes, and that's why we do katas. They teach you the fundamental of the technique. So katas are technically the stepping stone of fighting, believe it or not. And they might look fancy to you because
Look,
you don't know martial arts.
I'm giving you perspective from martial artists. I can give you several martial artists who will be like, again, most people who study martial arts cannot fight. If you don't do wrestling, if you don't do boxing, because those are really, if you want to talk about martial arts on the masses, those are the only ones that actually teach you how to fight. And any martial artist worth his salt, if you're not going to combine wrestling, which MMA does, or boxing, which MMA does, into your overall, so I don't care what you do. You want to do taekwondo, you want to do kung fu, you want to do whatever. If you're not going to incorporate that into your fighting, then you're not a fighter.
One thing I will agree, I don't think you should study one style. I think you should practice different styles.
Sure.
Mixed martial art, I totally agree on that.
But as far as foundation, boxing and wrestling, getting a guy on the ground and being able to use footwork and fight at a distance and throw punches and whatnot, those have to be part of the mix as well. And again, this isn't me. I can give you several guys, they have their own perspectives on this, and they several high-end martial artists that say this. Most martial artists cannot fight because they more times than not you don't have to. Sparring, I mean, unless you're going to be in there with a guy who's going to be throwing real punches with real intent, it's not real fighting. The only time I've seen like real martial arts, like for real, you got to go back to like the 70s and 80s. If you go back and watch a movie, Fighting Black Kings, came out in 1975. It was the Kyokushinkai full contact martial arts tournament in Japan. And it was like before MMA and everything. You had guys coming from all the disciplines, karate, kung fu, jiu-jitsu, or whatever, all coming together, full contact. If you watch the video, guys getting knocked out, guys getting jaws broken, guys, I mean, just real. No, this wasn't point fighting, the real stuff. But certainly it's a big step up from point karate. But that's there, point karate. I mean, you're not even supposed to land a punch on a guy in point karate. But if you look at Olympic karate right now in the Olympics, there's no contact. It's not full contact.
Every tournament I have been to is full contact.
I said the Olympics. I'm just saying the Olympic karate is point karate. So there, you're not supposed to make contact in point karate. That's not what it's for. It's not full contact. So again, I'm not saying that. So again, I agree certainly that guys who get black belts in certain disciplines and multiple black belts and all that, I'm not saying that they're not disciplined or what have you. But I don't want to crap on the MMA guys because those guys, certainly whether you come from a wrestling background or a boxing background, and then you're going to incorporate these other skills into it to make a mixed martial arts, jiu-jitsu or whatever, I got to give credit to those guys. And I would more times than not If you're going to put those guys against your run of the mill martial artists from any other discipline, karate, kung fu, jujitsu, the only guys you might be able to who might be able to compete is the Thai boxers, because those guys, that's full contact, using
And I'm
every
glad
part
you
of the
mentioned
body
that.
to
I'm glad
hurt
you
people.
mentioned there are two promotions that bring in real martial artists and they spar among them. The one is one championship promotion. There's part to know about it. There's another one in particularly. They did a unique open ring design for karate expert to get into, and it go left real good. This is why I said they have real martial artists. One championship is completely different from UFC because they had, if I remember, because they had three different styles. You have the kickboxing style rules, you had a mixed martial arts style rules, and you had a Greco wrestling style move. And Mighty Mouse, they both do the wrestling style fight, and he did the mixed martial art fight because he won belt on both ends, and he lost belt too. The Thai boxing one is it's only for those who are brave enough. Because Thai boxing, you understand the Thai boxing rules. Gee, yeah, you might be eating through the straw after a couple of hits or two,
Mm.
and that is the real deal. I always knew, and I understand UFC made it look like everybody don't know nothing about martial art. And I had to agree with the sponsor at that point. This is why one championship came to existence. Mighty Mouse used to be from UFC. He got disrespected there. Then he went to one championship, case closed. His level of respect shoot to the roof. A lot of people want to jump to that promotion because that promotion is more disciplined. Because the person who runs it is actually a real martial artist. He understands the code of ethic. So yes, this is more. There are more and more promotions that are bringing real martial artists into the ring to test their skill set. Yes, we have coaching. Yes, we have all the type of training. Yes, we have the body. It's all about putting it together and you figure out how you know how to utilize it properly. Some people are fight genius compared to other people. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
You can have everybody trained. The part to know this, you can have everybody trained the same way, learn the same kata, learn the same different way, but there's some people who are fight genius. They know how to incorporate different moves and do things that other people cannot do. That's what the difference comes because that movie from Jet Li that he did, they say it's not based on the art, it's based on the practitioner itself. That he know how to put together the tools that he learned in a way that it come out right for him. And I knew that firsthand when I did Chituwa karate. I'm not a showboater, but I'm not gonna be no. It's all about the timing. It's all about the placement, all about how you react at a certain moment. Something you can train yourself to a point it's second nature that you don't even you can do it in your sleep. My countryman, Easy, no one knows his background. He was a Thai boxer first before he got into UFC. But before he even got Thai box, he even did boxing too on top of that. He got a boxing background and a Muay Thai boxing background. He did both before he jumped into UFC. And he cooperated. He understands the discipline. Thai boxing is not easy.
No, it's not.
It is not. Compared to
Yeah.
karate, that's next level.
So kata also teaches you like a footwork, Paul. I understand. Like you were talking about footwork before. And like C stepping is most boxers don't know how to C step, and that is a very feminine and so on. Or using your ball, your foot versus your heel, your foot. A lot of boxers use your heel versus the ball of the foot. All your spring when you're going for the punch, it comes from the ball of your foot. If you're like when I walk, and you can't really tell most times because it's the way I walk and it's bad for my feet. I know that is I don't walk with my heel like most people do. I go down with my heel, then all of a sudden I put down my ball first. And people look at me like, "Are you really?" I'm like, yeah, it's horrible for my feet. I know that, but that's how I was trained over the years, and it
Mm.
became nature for me. Now, so when I come to self defense purposes, if somebody comes at me, I'm already, in the ball, so I can go right into a punch or a throw, whatever. So, you, are you right? Most fights end up on the ground. 95% of fights, yes, end up on the ground. You're 100% right. You need at least a background of judo, Greco wrestling, or wrestling. One of the three. or grappling. Excuse me, no four. You know, if you have something like that, yeah. The nice thing about mixed martial arts, like my side jiu jitsu, it has good judo in it. It has side jiu in it. It has VR jiu. All that stuff are in there. So like one of the instructors I knew, Master V. I never met him personally. He schools out of Brooklyn. The little sucker for a he was 5'1" or 5'2", 110 pounds. He could throw David on one finger down easily without losing sleep.
I won't even try that because that's what happened to me in college. I had a guy who was smaller than me pin me down. And here's the thing: as strong as big as I am, I had a hard time getting up from a just to move that he did on me. That he sat down me the whole time in a way that I could not move and touch him to buy him a drink. Now, Mr. Bennett, you know how we black people are, right? With our pride and our ego. How will you feel if someone who pinned you down and no matter how much you do, you couldn't move and he's drinking on top of you? What did that go through your head? Tell me how that feels.
That I can't get up. So you just,
You
I'm not. I'm look. I'm not.
and that's the
Truly
thing.
in the if I can't end it, I'm a make sure it ends. I'm not going to just keep fighting and struggling when when there's no
And that's the thing. I
there's no
felt
point to
that
it.
pain so much to the point where I thought I was lifting heavy weight. I said, how did guy pin me and I couldn't use brute strength to get out of there?
Yeah, it's tough. It's absolutely
I,
tough.
I was almost broken that day.
Mm.
I talked to my son about it. I said, what do you do? I use all my he said, yeah, I know. And I use little to no I'm like, what do you do? Like I thought I was getting pinned down by a brick and you were doing I was frustrated. I'm an African guy. I don't like to lose, but that was embarrassing. And I get it. He have a jiu-jitsu background. I had a jiu-jitsu background. Man, Joe, who doing karate, boxing, and jiu-jitsu, he would tell you there are some moving jiu-jitsu that there's no coming out of it. Once it's placed properly, you're neutralized.
Yeah.
Unless you're superhuman. So I get it and I understand it. Some of us took an oath not to fight because complication. Some of us took our oath too serious. And yet, we talk about it all about the Republic Yadakari idea. I know it could be a myth, but I did not want to get in a situation where if I get arrested for hurting somebody and turn to find out they look me up and find out I was trained to do X, Y, and Z, was similar to the Marine, the military, and boxing and rest. I don't want that headache. So I keep a low profile on purpose to avoid fighting. Now, if I'm forced to fight with my life depend on it, then by all means, I'm blacking out. I'm coming out on top. If you end up in a wheelchair, it's not my fault. You provoked me. Straight up. It put to be a last resort to be used. Not something to be
That's why martial art, like I always say to you guys, is self defense based, not offense based. Every like Michael J. What is Michael what?
Michael J. White. He
Yeah,
the actor of Spawn. He
and
talks
he's
about
a
it.
real martial artist, a real fighter too, and he explains how katas work. And like I said, katas are a form to teach you the techniques of punching and everything. If you do sloppy technique in your form, you're not gonna be able to punch correctly. I've seen people break their arm literally in a speed bag
Hmm.
because they're saying, because people think you're punching, you need to punch, with these two. No, if you punch with these two, you're gonna break your wrist. The eye knuckles. This is why they're strike with the eye knuckle. So this is not a straight punch, believe it or not, Paul. Bend first is a straight punch because the way your skeleton is designed, and from your footwork all the way straight up from your hip bones and everything, that is a straight punch. And like people looking noise down, like, oh yeah,
Some
let's try it.
people broke their wrists from punching the wrong way.
That's why when you fight, like, I can't show it too well from my angle right now. It's when you punch, punch like this. You punch like at an angle almost, like on a 45.
It is
Like
a twist. There's a twist or force to it, but the thing
yeah.
is,
So when
I
you
was taught I
twist,
was taught to base it because he said if you don't do it properly, unless you want to have a new wristband where you have a case every now and then because you don't dismantle your wrist or you mess up your elbow. Because I remember one time, you're not gonna believe it. They had a kicking, what do you call it, kicking glove or kicking pad. I overshot the kicking pad and hit my senpai on the elbow and I messed up his wrist.
and that's possible. And that happens.
based on the impact. The impact I gave on. He said it was good, but it was heavy. So to
So
mess up my senpai because I hit him on the elbow, I didn't broke his elbow. The shockwave went from his elbow straight to his wrist, and
yeah,
I
it's a funny bone.
dislocated it.
Yeah. So when you twist, post, you understand, coming from here onto the twist, when you hit the compact and you're twisted, it's ripping the skin slowly, and then you're gonna bust him right open. And that's the point of the reverse punch. This is not a straight punch. This is a straight punch. Well, the bend in the elbow is a straight punch. And people, as much as you want to sit back and go, we're going back for all this all day long in you. But I'm
But
telling you, like, if you put a
and
real martial artist, a real fight martial artist in a ring, he's gonna have it up their edge.
and here the funny thing about it, you have martial artists who you detect into breaking competition. I see the breaking, but either they punching it, or using their forearm, or using their elbow. Now to break more than 2 or 4 bricks with a fist, that's even hard to do.
I'll give you a better one. Your palm.
That's
If you,
even worse.
we never did breaking in my dojo too much because it's like my master was trying to be a ghetto Mr. Miyagi. We used to call him like bricks to hit back. I go no. So what's why are you hitting a brick for? What did a brick ever do to you? I'm like Jesus Christ. So we never really did my demonstrations or anything like that. Rarely, a once in a blue moon, we should do them. But he goes, you can break with an elbow very easily. A forearm very easily. He goes, a punch a little difficult. A palm. If you can break more than 5 through a palm, I'll give you $1,000 right now. He said to me. I never break more than 2.
And that is not easy. Trust me when I say that. And I
No,
watch a lot of
no.
breaking competition. Looking at the angle of how they punch the brick, I would tell myself, if he'd admit it by 1 degree, that go his wrist and his knuckle at the same time.
And if
And
you
it's done.
season the brick, and by season I mean harden it, is even 10 times worse. So
there's no if. If you watch the whole realm of martial arts, if you're not doing kata, you're doing breaking. Now, breaking is one thing. I'm not gonna go into the ice breaking. Ice is worse than bricks.
I
Ice
think ice is kind of fun
hurt.
to break.
The condition of folding ice and you hit. And you saw video on YouTube. You have people in Thai boxing kicking palm trees and breaking bait. This is why I say Thai boxing is the next level. If they can break baseball back with their shin, they're breaking 1, 2, 3 at a time. Imagine you apply that same force on the human body. What do you think the outcome going to be? That's why I say when people in training martial arts, you are trained to be a weapon. Period. Some don't want to fight because they even took it all a little bit too serious. Imagine me, I had a background in Thai boxing. And I was living in Thailand. I was going to kicking palm tree, doing all the other things, breaking baseball bat. You think I'll let you know I do that? No, I'll act like a wuss just to avoid trouble because I know if I allow my ego kick in and I get into a fight and I dislocate a couple of ribs and they find out I do something, what do you think my life gonna be like? Unless I deport myself quickly before I get arrested. You think karate is bad? No. There's other level of art is worse than us. And they cannot get into a fight.
Kamagra is one of them because they have no discipline. They just all punch strikes and stuff. It's fast. It's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's all it is.
And that's military grade style, military grade fighting style. They're
I
not
remember
lying.
when that was a trend for now. Everybody wants to do McGraw was like blowing up everywhere. And now
And
look
then
around. Do you see any schools around anymore?
it need to be among the Greek community. I see a lot of it in the Greek community in Brooklyn. If you're in a
What?
Greek neighborhood, you will see the Clark Batage school there. That used to be a normal thing. But
When
nowadays,
I
I
started
barely
getting
see it. In Brooklyn, among the
Brooklyn.
Greek community, you will find those Clark Batage school. But nowadays, you barely see them.
Yeah, like one style I like to pick up eventually before I get too old and corrupted is like Greco wrestling. I really like to. I'd be interested in doing a couple of
Greco
classes.
is not normal, but it's hard as hell.
And you know the funny part about that, Paul? Greco wrestling. Guess where they learn all the techniques from? Pottery. All the techniques come from pottery because they got lost over the years.
Hmm.
They got when
H-
the guns came into
AKA
play.
Asian wrestling. Ancient wrestling. That's what it is. So this is
Yeah.
why I talk about martial art. I say it's never a joke to play around because there's a certain level of martial art skill set are a no. Meaning, if you train in this one, you're not allowed to get in no fight because if you get into a fight, then they'll start tracing every school. When they start tracing every school, they'll start mounting every people. They got happy. You gotta get yourself registered. I like to avoid all that paperwork and avoid all that mess because yes, you are trained to be a weapon. There are people from UFC who are no longer in UFC have taken a job to teach their military people how to fight, but they came from a particular discipline such to do so. So if they're training military people how to defend and fight in close combat, so when they got in the field they know exactly what they do, then what do you think they're doing then the whole time? You saw on the news how some knucklehead want to rob an MMA fighter and he get the worst beat down ever. And the MMA fighter just take my wallet and go, just go, leave me alone. Oh no. The next you know you see a mug picture. A huge couple of knots on the eye, a big black eye, swollen cheeks, broken jaw. Like, do you ever people are thinking, oh, MMA fighter not really fight until they decide to, okay, perfect opportunity. Let me make a Pakara portrait. Now, if I watch the MMA industry and I did fight a couple of fights on TV and I retired from it and someone want to rob me, I'll tell you, please take my wallet, take my car, and go. Just leave me alone. Now, if you push me, there won't be no mug shots. You'll be on a stretcher.
That's facts.
I want to make sure of that so that when you get discharged, you're not walking, you're on a wheelchair. Because nobody in MMA wants to be bothered. You know how it's like carrying a heavy weight over your head. You're trained to be a weapon. You're not allowed to get into no fight because any small mistake, you screwed.
Look
You
at
know better.
the Irish Punk. Oh, he runs his mouth so much, but he's not a good fighter.
Come on, Conor McGregor.
Yeah, he's a sloppy fighter. How many fights he lost and he won? Think about it.
I know Eddie talk negative about him, but Eddie know if you go to the other promoter like one championship, he's not gonna last long because there are real disciplined people over there who are part of a particular school.
That's the thing. He's a good talker. That's what he runs his mouth. He's very popular, and that's all he is. He just runs his mouth.
So
Hey
this,
guys, I'm gonna first of all, good combo. I know we're all into the martial arts piece. I don't know if you want to go this far off
no, it's
the
good to
track,
talk about
but
it because there's a difference between this and wrestling.
sure,
Wrestling,
sure,
they teach you how to pull your punches or how to make it look real, but it's not real. But you know, it's a controlled environment. So
yeah,
imagine someone from a non-controlled environment enter to a controlled environment, and you did not follow their protocol.
yeah. But again, you knew when you brought him in, you knew it was going to be a runoff. You didn't have a dry run, you didn't have a rehearsal, you didn't have anything. So again, wrong person, wrong circumstances or whatnot. And again, this was just a one off that they thought they can capitalize on. And who wouldn't? I mean, think about any indie promotion that you can think of. Who wouldn't have taken advantage of that if that opportunity presented
And that's what
itself?
I was saying. They said it's a setup
Yeah,
because there was more videos showing that the person who gave him the green light to do that, he intentionally did that on purpose and trying to cover his end. But he supposed to know better because that's not your wrestling school. That's somebody named on. This is what I'm trying to figure out. When you mentioned, oh, he wasn't. You're right. He wasn't there. Question is, who do you hire to run your business? Does he understand the repercussion of going beyond protocol?
yeah. And I never thought Rikishi or any of these guys like who's in the gym doing that for a living. Like I said, a lot of the old school guys, yeah, because again, they were the guys that were going to break you in. They were going to make
And
sure
they've when
that
they
they
first,
filtered you out. You were going to come for a
and
tryout. They would shoot on you, and then if you want to come back next time, then you can come back next time. They're not doing that anymore.
but here's the problem, Mr. Bennett. So many people started that way first until the rest of school start to grow. When they start to grow and money coming in, there's a concept of let me just be the boss and I hire people who understand the business to do the work for me.
That's not
Booker
out.
T,
And again,
I
that's
know, I know, I know you don't may not like it. Booker T did just that. Look
Yeah,
how we are. Look how
and God forbid if something happens in that situation also, because again,
and
you
I
do.
totally agree with you.
I think Brooke Day is a little exception to that rule because he's kind of 50-50. He's in it, but he also does behind the scenes. He's not in it like when he was at first opening.
And bingo,
Cody Rhodes, the Nightmare
Night-
Factory, I think it's called his school.
the Nightmare Factory. That's his
Yeah,
own and his brother's,
he his wife runs it, but he's the one who's hands on with the students.
Mhm.
So
and
if
his
Williams
brother
in the
to the
school,
degree.
he can Al Snow, same thing. He has his own promotion in school, but he's very hands on. There are a lot like now Undertaker with he teaches now, and he's hands on. His wife too, hands on, and then like
And they had a what is LG something. They done that new program they're doing right now where they have legend and features.
that's what I'm talking about with Undertaker and stuff.
There's a lot of wrestlers who came from WWE or all the big promotion. They created wrestling school to train the next generation. Some are hands on. Some have school that got it so big they don't need to be hands on anymore. And what Mr. Bennett said, I totally agree on the technicality behind it.
I think the problem with those who are not hands on, they got too big, too fast, and they don't know how. When you have like even as a sensei myself, when you're having more than 20 students at once, you cannot. It's hard to train 20 students. Imagine you have like 30 or 40 kids trying to be a
Mhm.
wrestlers now.
And I give you the same thing. And
Well, again, also this isn't the lot. This isn't these guys' livelihoods. It might be a revenue stream, but it's not your livelihood. So you're not gonna put everything into it the way if this was your baby, if this was your like your bread and butter, how
in
you gonna
some
make
case,
money.
I
A
would
lot
say
of these
I
guys are
disagree.
already kind of set. This is maybe their way of again staying relevant or keeping connected to
The
the rest
only
of the business.
pushback I have to that is Al Snow does this for a living. When he
Yes.
worked from
And trust. So if Al Snow had a promotion, I don't think this would happen.
no, I'll
And
be
that's
honest
my
with you.
point. That's my point.
And Booker T
If you're
and Booker
not
T
going to be invested, if you're only in on name only, and guys see an opportunity and they're going to take advantage of it and whatnot, it's not the same thing. But Al, that something like that wouldn't get past Al Snow.
and Booker T is falling in the same category because it wasn't for
Booker,
him. No,
I don't know if
let me tell you why
he's
I say
not
he's
as
in the
invested as Al Snow is.
let me tell you he's halfly invested. But here's the thing: the Uso came from that school. There are a lot of wrestlers that came from his school. So because of what he has done so far for the business, that WWE allowed him to be commentary in WWE and NXT because they're bringing some of the wrestler protege from his school to join NXT or any other program they have available. Let's look at the performance center of WWE. They have multiple trainers who are former wrestlers whose job is to train them. And Triple H and Shawn Michaels will sometimes come by and check. Because when you have people who understand the business doing the training for you, while you being there, it kind of like cover your end to a certain degree.
Mm.
And I remember one particular trainer, he got fired because of he used to be a wrestler for WCW. He the one that Goldberg beat before they started that streak. Something Belmont, I forgot his name. He was a trainer for the performance center, but until something happened and they let him go. So I'm getting that same thing happened at Knock Wrestling. You have people who are former wrestler or part of the wrestling industry or who have the resume say I could be part of the training. This is what this we might have another show and talk about the wrestling school concept and how it is being break down.
Mhm.
Because when you first started, it's one thing. When your school grows, it's another thing.
Mhm.
You can't train, like he said, you can't be the only one training 20 wrestlers. Dusty Rhodes, when he was in NXT, he was nothing but what do you call that?
He was just like an advisor. I mean, he wasn't
Bingo.
training
He
people.
had an advisor role.
He comes
But
in for a day, he speaks, and that's it. But he's not getting on the mat with guys.
he's
He's
not.
not shooting. Like I said, you go back to like Vern Gagne, who trained Ric Flair and all those guys. Again, when wrestling was, like I said, it was an exclusive club. And again, the shooting aspect of it to let you know if you're gonna come in here thinking I'm just an entertainer, they will let you know real fast in a hurry that yes, if I put this hold on you, yes, I can break your arm, I can take you out, I can snap your neck, I can do whatever. They wanted you to know that. Like I said, it was like a sacred thing. It was easier getting into the Masons or the Freemasons than it was to get into the wrestling business. I mean, it wasn't for
The
everybody,
funny part,
and you had to
so
do every aspect of the business. You had to be able to build the ring,
Mm-hmm.
take down the ring,
Mm-hmm.
carry the ring from one venue to another. Like
Mm-hmm.
you every aspect. You respected the business. But when it became sports entertainment, I think some of that got lost. And
I
and
will have
and
to agree
and
with you
and,
on that
and,
part.
and so
I will
so
have to agree on
so
that
the
part.
funny part to that is two things. One, it is a lot easier getting into Freemasons than getting into the wrestling business, even to now, because I know a few people got into it. And they're in it less than 2 weeks, so
Mhm.
it's very easy to get in. So funny part is some people still break down the ring. Believe it or not, at least with
Yeah.
WWE, I know a bunch of referees are sitting there breaking. You see one of the I can't remember his name. He was he got hurt himself during his skits, during thing. He was a blind guy. He was wearing a boot and he's taking the ring and everything down like he loves it so much he doesn't mind even how much pain he was in.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. And I agree with the Paul was saying. It's supposed to be an exclusive club. Some wrestling school is treated in such a way, some may not be doing it. That is where the problem comes to play. Because right now, how many years have we been in wrestling? Wrestling now becoming an American pastime or American culture. You have former wrestlers who took their experience and create wrestling school. Some they decide to go and retire. But those who stay behind to pass down the knowledge to the next generation, depend on how far they invested. Booker T, he started doing that thing for to the point whereby it grew to a promotion. And the promotion produced wrestlers that end up either going to WWE or going to other wrestling promotion. So yes, he could be 50-50. And when you make a lucrative business at a wrestling school, Daniel Bryan have a wrestling school. But what people didn't know that when he was in AEW behind the scene, he was training other wrestlers as well.
See
He
now,
trained
Daniel again, perfect. He came up. Him, CM Punk, all those guys came up through the Indies. They
and
paid their
and guess
dues
who
to get to
trained
where they
Jay
are.
Cargill? Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan was training her throughout
Mhm.
the time he was staying in AEW with her. He was constantly training her, walk her through the routine and everything.
Yeah.
Not just
Yeah.
her, but many other wrestlers. Everybody keep picking Dan Bryan, like, how you do this move? How did I do this? How he has to show, and everybody know Dan Bryan is very technical wrestler
Yeah.
all the way through.
Yeah.
So
Listen, guys,
I get
I
your
got to
point.
run. I
No
got to
problem.
run. I'll see you guys possibly tomorrow night. I'll step in for the hangout show. What's the topic tomorrow night?
I'll tell you 1 second. Let me get my schedule up, and I think we'll start closing out, right, David?
Yeah, we start closing out because this. I know we had to talk this one up, but you make sure you have the difference between wrestling and martial art because people think it's close. It's not that
Actually,
even
Paul, you
close.
don't want to miss this one. This is gonna be a fun one. Actually, is
Mm.
forgetting cartoons that we left behind as kids, like Rugrats or
Oh
Scooby
no.
Doo's.
All
Oh
right.
no.
I'll
Oh
You know
no.
what? You know
stop
that.
a bit on that one, but
Oh no.
I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys later.
All right, David, you got any last words before we close out?
Last
No,
word for
no less
tomorrow
schedule.
episode. Please don't mention no weird ass cartoon that I just don't like.
You
Me
said
that
it.
heard that topic. Hold on. Anyone who was the 80 baby, 70 baby, 90 baby, you know damn what I'm talking about. Certain cartoon was a
All right, let's do a quick schedule update, guys, really fast before we get out of here, because he's going to keep talking our ear off. Tomorrow, like I mentioned, is going to be a forgetting from the past, old cartoons like we grew up on. Saturday, excuse me, Sunday and Gray is a call in. Please call in. Jump in, and you guys like talking shit. Here's your opportunity to talk shit to my face for once. Monday we're off. We'll be back on
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Thank you. My brain just froze.
Reboot.
Do women protect men? David had to run off. Here, boy. You want a treat, boy? Come back. Come back. There you go. So,
Really?
and Wednesday, are you guys back from your break?
We back on Wednesday. We'll get the title for you before Monday, so we'll
All
work on
right.
this. But that
And
2 day show, I'm out to walk off because if I hear anything stupid, I will walk off. I'm like,
and I
please
gotta
don't get me
talk to
started.
Paul and Coach to see what's the next topic for their cross their show is. So we'll be a show. So don't worry, I'm gonna be posting stuff very soon. Except that,
I'm
guys.
sorry. You wouldn't need to play any clip because we were so deep into the conversation because it's a very critical topic. I had some clip available, and I would say look for the live in calling and the timeline. The one I was on. Let me see if I can remember correctly. Give me a
Hey,
second.
David, how about we do a part 2 next Friday?
You can do a part two.
All right.
I would mention if you see the one that they say Roger Jackson, did he go too far? 43 minutes and 5 seconds. I was on that call with MTR, and I had it saved up for that because I came in as someone who into martial. I had to explain to him that this is not no small issue. This is a very big deal, and there's a barrier between martial art and wrestling. A lot of people don't know that yet.
Oh,
So
I'm not. Yeah, it's a big barrier. But for now, let's come back next Friday.
okay, they lightly struck and caught him, and the nature said, "Do not respect bear paw."
Sorry about that, guys. My thing is acting up. So we'll be back next Saturday. We're gonna be doing a show at 8:30 versus 9:30. I mean, next Friday 8:30. There was 9:30 for a part 2, and I think we'll be able to finish this series on that.
Yeah, because
Except
this.
that
And Mandrell, please come. I know you.
I'll reach out to him. I have his number.
No problem.
Except that, David, last words really fast.
That's what. This is a good topic. Everybody enjoy your weekend. Please do your research about this topic because this, in case you want to get into wrestling, this is something you want to be careful of. Do your background check on the wrestling school and get yourself into. That's number one. Number two, make sure what they're asking you to do is within your means of doing so. Number three, this is a lifetime. I can't get a lifetime purpose. This is a lifetime dedication because getting into wrestling, it's no joke. And those who ever made it, they will tell you how much prompted this is, but also how taxing it is on the body as well.
Facts.
Which
So,
that's
as always,
my final
guys,
thought.
and I am the Spartan. He is Black David. This was Spartan SU Network, a special edition of the Hangout. I'll see you guys tomorrow. As always, stay fresh, stay safe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.